Hey friends, Jonathan Neal Fitness here. And today I want to introduce you to some of the most fundamental concepts to having a safe and effective yoga practice. The first one of those two things is going to be something that I find is very often overlooked or kind of glossed over. And there's a lot of classes, yoga classes that I've been to, where it's not even really possible to do this, mainly because of the speed or the intensity of the asana practice. And there's nothing wrong with posing and all that stuff and all the asanas. Of course, that's part of our practice. But without the breath element and without the proper breath element, it loses not only its effectiveness, but its safety. So we're going to cover how to do proper breathing for yoga, which is something that we call the Ujjayi Breath. Now, the main element to this Ujjayi Breath, or at least the first one that we want to cover, is kind of a simple one, but again, very often overlooked, perhaps because it is so simple. And this is that we're breathing through our nose, first of all. We want to limit the amount of breathing through the mouth we do, unless occasionally we need a little catch our breath. But for the most part, we want to be breathing through the nose. Now, while we're breathing through the nose, we want to be creating a little sound and feeling of breath at the throat. And the way you can think about this is if you have glasses or even sunglasses, and you've ever done that classic kind of and you feel that little as we fog up the glasses to get them clean. That's the feeling that we're looking to replicate in the Ujjayi Breath. Now, the only real difference here, two differences. One, we're keeping the mouth closed while we create that feeling. And two, we're trying to feel it on both the inhale and the exhale. So this is what we want. We want to be able to feel the inhale as a, and feel the exhale also as a. Now, I'm trying to exaggerate the sound. It doesn't need to be that loud, but I want to make sure you might be able to hear it here. So listen carefully. On the inhale, and then the exhale. One more time. Listen if you can hear this. And again, for some people that's going to be a little louder. I tend to be a little louder when I do it. Some people it's going to be a little quieter. The real thing is that it gives you a physical, tangible connection to your breath. You have a sound, you have a feeling, and it also gives you a little bit of control over your breath. And contrary to what some people might say, I don't really see it as we're not trying to make some exaggerated long breath. Really what we want is a even breath. So whether your breath lasts 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 seconds, we want the inhale and the exhale to be about the same length so that we're creating balance in the breath. Now, the second element to this Ujjayi Breath is that we're breathing, when we breathe in, we'll say this, the other sense of balance that we want, besides that even timing, is also a balance between what we might call opposing forces, but are really complementary. And in this case, in our yoga practice, we talk a lot about the balance between strength and softness. And so we feel that in our breath. The inhale is softness. Really, literally, the body softens, the lungs soften and expand and open. So we call the inhale softness and expansion. Now, the exhale, of course, naturally is a strong feeling. Muscles engaged to push the breath out. There's compression happening at the lungs. So we say that the exhale represents the strength and the compression side. So we have the soft, expansive inhale, balanced, matched by the strong, compressive exhale. Now, we also want to balance the forces of higher and lower. So we want to feel the inhale as an experience of expansion and softness through the upper half of the torso here. Now, that generally we want to feel the chest, but we also want to feel the side and the back ribs, so that when we inhale, there's a sort of circular expansion through the whole rib cage, like a big barrel opening up. The exhale then is happening at the lower half, and this is at the low belly. And we want to be careful that when we do the exhale, it's not these upper abdominals crunching us down here. It's the low point below the belly button drawing straight in. So that instead of it creating a crunch down and a collapse of the spine, that draws in and creates a lift. Now, this is important for all these reasons about balancing forces, but it's also important because physically, most people tend to be very tight around the shoulders, chest, and ribs. and we tend to kind of plop out at the belly and round that spine. So if we can feel the inhale bringing expansion, and then we couple that with the exhale bringing strength at the base, we can already see that that brings a lot better posture and length to the spine. And ideally, if we continue this breath throughout our practice, what we'll find is that in any pose whatsoever, whether it's triangle pose or cobra pose or anything else, this breath will start, if we allow it in this way and we trust it, to create that better posture. It'll bring openness, softness where it's needed, and strength and support where it's needed. So we've gone over the Ujjayi breath and all the elements and some of the reasons for that, but now let's, in a really simple asana physical body example, see how we link that breath to the movement. And this is really the heart and the soul of the practice. We're linking the mind to the breath through the sound and feeling, and now we link the breath to the body through aligning the breath and the movement. This is our yoga, our union, if you will, mind, body, breath, all present here and now. So a very simple movement that we'll use for this is just what we might call a seated cat and cow. So you can sit cross-legged if that's comfortable. If it's not, you can always sit on something so your butt's higher, or really you can sit any other way that suits you, even with the legs out. What we're really focusing on is the movement of breath and spine. So I'm going to bring my hands onto my knees here, and then as I take that inhale in the chest, feeling the breath at the throat, I'm going to expand and exaggerate that chest inhale by coming into a sort of seated cow. It looks like this. I'll inhale in the chest as and then when I feel the exhale at the belly, I'm going to let that take me back into that cat-like pose, like a inhale at the chest, exhale at the belly. Inhale, exhale. Good. And so this brings us to the really basic and fundamental principle. First and foremost, we're feeling this balanced breath. And then we're letting the breath, in a sense, move the body. So I'm allowing my body to essentially exaggerate these actions of the breath. I can sit here and inhale and expand the ribs and exhale and draw in the belly, but I want to lend a little bit more power. I want my body, in a sense, to help my breath and empower my breath, because it's all about the breath in the first place. The body moves for the breath. So this means that I'm exaggerating expansion physically, or in a sense, helping my breath, and then I'm exaggerating compression physically when I exhale. We can take this again into any other manner of poses, whether it's forward folds, or whether you're doing warrior one or any other kind of pose where we're moving up and down and folding, whether it's cat and cow. These principles are always there. And even in a pose where we're not moving, still that inhale expanding out the whole upper body and exhale contracting the lower belly is going to again take us out of that slump. Last thing I'll show you here to really drive this point home is what this looks like from the side. Let's say we've been sitting at our computer or at our phone and we're in this hunch, and we decide that it's time to bring a little better posture. So right now I have my chest, my ribs dropping down, and my belly is relaxed out. So without really taking any action on the body, I'm just going to let the breath do the work. I inhale in the chest, and then I exhale in the belly. Already doing pretty good. Let's try one more breath. Big inhale. Strong exhale at the belly. Good. This brings that support. You can clearly see, I'm not trying to do that, but that's just what happens. If I inhale and inflate, naturally that balloon of the ribs lifts. If I exhale and draw in, naturally strength comes from the base up and gives that support. So that's what I wanted to cover with you guys today, mostly because, again, I've been to a lot of yoga classes, a lot of workshops, a lot of trainings, and I find that these elements are extremely vital to this practice and are very commonly overlooked. Sometimes they don't even tell you to breathe, much less how to breathe, so I wanted to get that through to you guys. So I hope this has been useful. Start to practice first just seated and maybe just using a simple movement like this seated cat-cow. to feel that breath and to feel that breath and movement. Remember the sound and feeling at the throat. The inhale expands the ribs and the exhale contracts the belly. Practice on that for a while. Bring it into your yoga practice that you're already doing, and you'll feel that it adds extra power to that practice, and it adds safety and security by bringing that better support to the spine. So this has been Jonathan Neal Fitness. I truly, truly appreciate you watching this. And as always, the real thing that I would appreciate is if you took this, put it into practice, got the result, and got the benefit. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, you got the comments down below to do that. If you like this content, you can like it over there. And if you want to continue to see this kind of content, you can subscribe, click the little bell icon, and that'll notify you every time I put out a new video. Until then, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Take care, and I'll see you next time with more tips